when your job is taken away for standing up for your rights, and the city rises in protest. That's the tension now in Kaduna and across Nigeria, as workers at the Dangote Refinery sacked for allegedly unionizing spark massive backlash from PENGASSAN, fellow unions, and citizens. The protests, strike actions, court orders, and government interventions are all converging in what may be a watershed moment for labor rights in Nigeria. Here's a full breakdown of what's happening, what's at stake, and where things might go next. What sparked the outrage? The conflict began when Dangote Refinery allegedly dismissed over 800 Nigerian workers. PENGASSAN claims this was because they joined the union. Dangote management denies that claim, saying the dismissals were part of an internal reorganization and that only a small number were affected. PENGASSAN alleges that many of the sacked workers were replaced by foreign workers, over 2,000 Indians, according to union claims. Dangote disputes this. In reaction, PENGASSAN declared a nationwide strike. They directed all members to withdraw services in control rooms, field operations, crude and gas supply to Dangote, and other related functions starting from late September 2025. Kaduna, why the protest there matters. Even though many reports focus on Abuja, Lagos, or the refinery sites, Kaduna has become a symbolic and physical location of protest for several reasons. Kaduna is historically a major oil refining center. A previous refinery facility existed there. It's a strong labor stronghold, and many workers from the region feel directly connected to PENGASSAN's actions. While I did not find a detailed report with protest in Kaduna, specifically in my sources, there are mentions of general protest activity tied to Kaduna in union statements. The protest sentiment in Kaduna reflects broader anger at what many see as violation of labor rights, unfair dismissals, and disregard for Nigerian workers in a facility meant to benefit Nigerians. It embodies the personal impact of the Dangote-PENGASSAN dispute. Key players and positions. PENGASSAN workers' rights violated. Unionizing is a constitutional right. Seeking unconditional reinstatement of dismissed staff. Accuses Dangote of replacing Nigerians with foreign workers. Strike until demands met. Dangote Refinery asserts dismissals are due to safety issues or sabotage. Claims only a small number of workers were affected. Denies mass replacement with foreigners. Says reorganization is legitimate. Warns of energy supply disruptions and economic consequences. Federal government/labor ministry has intervened with calls for restraint. Attempted mediation and conciliation meetings. Minister of Labor urges peaceful resolution. Ultimately, agreement reached to redeploy dismissed workers within Dangote Group without loss of pay. Strike to be suspended. Protest unfolding and impacts. Members of PENGASSAN marched to key locations, including NNPC towers in Abuja, to protest the mass sackings and demand justice. The strike actions led to shutting down supply of crude and gas to the Dangote Refinery and massive withdrawal of services in field locations and operational installations. Nigeria's oil output dropped by roughly 16% during the brief strike, power generation dipped, and economic losses mounted. The disruption also threatened fuel supply and overall national energy and economic stability. Resolution and what was agreed. On or around October 1st, 2025, after long negotiations led by the federal government, a truce was reached. The rights of workers to unionize will be respected. The dismissed staff are to be redeployed within the Dangote Group without loss of pay. No worker will be victimized for the role they played in the dispute. PENGASSAN agreed to begin calling off the strike under those conditions. Stakes, risks, and broader implications. Labor rights and unionism. This episode tests whether constitutional protections for unionization are honored in practice, especially under powerful private corporate actors. It also raises questions about how foreign labor is used, whether local employment is being undermined, and whether workers have genuine voice. Energy security and economic stability. Dangote Refinery is a major facility meant to help reduce Nigeria's dependency on imported refined petroleum. Disruptions jeopardize that goal. The ripple effects of the strike included drops in production, power generation, and potential fuel scarcity. These can exacerbate inflation and hardship. Precedent setting. How this conflict is resolved sets a map for future industrial relations in Nigeria. If firms think they can dismiss unionized workers without consequence, or unions think strikes are the only weapon, it can create cycles of conflict. The role of government intervention, legal enforcement of labor laws, and oversight will be watched closely. Public perception and investor confidence. When energy facilities are shut down by strikes, when there are accusations of replacement with foreign labor, when profits and operations become mired in labor disputes, these reduce trust among citizens and investors. The Dangote brand and its promise as a stabilizer of Nigeria's fuel supply may suffer reputational damage if the public perceives misdeeds or unfairness. What happens now? Key things to watch. Implementation of the agreement. Are workers being redeployed without loss of pay as promised? How many? Over what time? Fuel and power supply stability. Buyers will watch whether refineries and power plants return to stable output. Legal clarity and public communication. Whether future disputes are handled more transparently, whether union and management publish their positions, audits, or evidence. Final thoughts. The Dangote-PENGASSAN face-off and protests in places like Kaduna are much more than labor disputes. They are moments where constitutional rights, citizenship, economic necessity, and justice collide. Here's what makes this particularly compelling. It's not just about money. It's about dignity, fairness, rule of law. Dangote's rapid rise as a private refinery giant adds pressure to do things well. Its operations are central to Nigeria's hope for fuel independence. Workers are insisting that union membership not be punished. That principle, once eroded, can affect all workers in all sectors. For many, this conflict is symbolic. It will show whether in Nigeria, a worker can unionize without fear, whether corporations operate with accountability, and whether government can enforce labor protections or simply mediate only when the crisis reaches boiling point.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this update and want to stay informed with fast, reliable news, don't forget to subscribe to Newsflash 360. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Your next headline is just seconds away.